Hey, I showed you how to do some fabric flowers and the same types of designs, but want to use them in paper form because not everybody likes to do fabric. Not everybody likes to sew. I will be honest with you, I do not like the way some of these looks, but you can dress them up and everybody has different projects. This was the wave flower, but the version out of paper. It's sort of, I can't think of the flower that this is, but there is a leaf. But you cut them on the fold and you make them. I did some bigger ones just so you could see what they would look like when you put them together. Same way I showed how to do the fabric flowers of layering them or turning them and putting them together. I did big ones just to see. Suggestion, ink them if you're using decorative paper before you put them together, but I didn't. But here's like a bigger one. But I wanted to show you the more usable, and what I would use the paper flowers for would do the same ones, but make them smaller. And it's all just taking paper, folding it over, and cutting just like we showed with the fabric. So then you have the ones that are what I call the pointed fabric fodder. But this is out of paper. Cut them at a point, just a triangle. Different sizes. I like to cut them at different sizes. They can be uniform if you want them, but they don't have to be. And they're, like I said, a bigger one so you could really see the way they look. And you could trim these up afterwards. Let's say, oh, because I think that one's a little bit long. And that's the great thing, even with the fabric. You can trim after the fact. Make it the size that you want it. Cut it the way you want, you know, that type of stuff. So you can trim them down and make them just like with the fabric any way that you want. These are the smaller ones. Like I said, I prefer smaller ones. I'm not a fabric, but same thing, just cutting the pieces smaller. Gives you a different one. This was the double petal sort of look, but cut like that. Look, I glued them together. Imagine that. Fold the paper on the fold, then cut it. It's sort of a heart shape. You can do equal size or what different. But here's showing you the bigger one. One of the ways you can do if you want to put a curl. Because I mentioned eking up the sides before you put them together. But you all know the old style. When you were kids, you can curl your pieces up. Any of these. Even the pointed ones. You know, you do the little, to give it a different look. If you're using this, the pointed ones, if you layer them just right and curl them, they look a lot like the chrysanthemums. A mum type thing. But, you know, it gives it a different look. And of course, you know, if you want it when it flattens down, it would be or whatnot. The smaller version of that. That's the multi-layered. See, every one of them's different when you cut them, if you don't use a pattern. But the ones I prefer using this wave cut is where you just take 2 petals. I know this isn't the same cut, but it'd be like that, just 2. Turn them like a cross or a plus sign. Catch them in the middle. I like those like that. Those are usable. I like using those as centers of other stuff. Or just a little accent. This one I don't particularly care for because it's just not my thing. But it's the fringe flower fodder that I did out of fabric. But out of paper, you would cut it the same way. But then you would just snip it to make them. Trying to make sure. Sorry, my dog's over here doing something. I got distracted. With the fringe, definitely my advice, if you do the fringe ones, I layered this like crazy. It should, just because I had a bunch. I shouldn't have layered them that much. They don't need that much. Definitely the fringe, I think, needs a little curling. And if you remember when you used to do fringe and curl up, yeah, you'll lose some when you do this because they're thin strips, but it's okay. It's just paper. Okay, but that would give you that type of look. The smaller ones, same difference. I prefer probably the smaller ones. That's just a square. I didn't even round them. But if you give it a little dimension, you put your inks using decorative paper. Jelly prints work really good for these. But it just gives it a different look on those. So you've got those. And then I guess the one that I've used more often than not is the basic petal I showed you how to do in fabric. I use those more than anything. Those are probably the one my go-to more than another. But the petal ones like that. It's a bigger one, sort of showing you what it would look like. You can curl these as well. Using different size petals and links will give you a different look. The little ones, I prefer to do like the little ones. This is like definitely good for scrap pieces. And depending on how you layer them and what sizes you look, you get a different look. Let me curl up one of the little ones here. Just to show you, I'm not doing a lot of detail, but just to show that it would give a different look. And once you decorate these up, use the papers you want, use the different, you can get all kinds of different looks. And they are usable on tags, on your pages. You want to do a bouquet one on your cover. Pretty much anything you could put a piece of paper on, you can use this. Your fabric flowers are the same way. I had promised you a video showing you how to use some of these, but I do apologize. I'm going to back out on that because you make them, you can put them on anything. What I would do with them would be totally different than what you would do with them. I did have those few examples of previous video. I showed using some of the fabric on some projects, so you can go back and look there, same difference. These little ones work wonderful for edges and corners and just a little extra. But there you go. Same fabric patterns, but in paper. Catch you later.